Salma,
Yeah.
welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hi, friends. Hi, everyone. How you doing? Check out my background. Isn't it
Yes.
beautiful? I was just telling Alec when you all couldn't hear that I feel so honored and so special to be part of the fifth and final for now for Saturday Stand Up, and I don't feel worthy. So I've got to make it a good one. So we'll do it together. We'll be a good team and make sure that
Yes.
we go out with a bang.
Yes, yes, yes. You are more than worthy for sure. No, there's no one else I would rather have for this last talk for sure,
No,
Salma,
no,
for real.
no,
I
no.
like in all
Look, I'm
honesty.
crying panther, crying panther.
Oh no. Crying Panther. Rip. So much
Oh,
rip. But yes, I do appreciate you being here. I think it's going to be awesome. This is a topic that I've really been wanting to talk about. And I feel like you're probably one of the most passionate people that I've talked to about it. So it makes perfect sense in my mind.
I am passionate. You will
Yes.
see.
Yes. I love that. So before we get started, Salma, I just wanted to give a couple heads up. Again, folks in chat, if you want to ask questions to Salma, to myself, anyone, make sure you go ahead and type !Q and your question. We'll be hitting that at the end of the stream. So yeah, any of your dying questions that you've always wanted to ask Salma, she'll be here to answer them right now for you. And then, yeah, again, we're talking about inclusivity in tech. So before we get started with kind of the main topic, I always like starting with a couple icebreakers.
Mm,
So yeah, it's pretty good. It's I call them quick fire questions, though usually they're not that quick.
okay.
So we'll see. But
I'll
we
put
have
my
five of them.
sunglasses on and we'll continue.
Yes. Get that shade going. All right. First question for you. What is your favorite instrument?
See, my answer used to be when I was younger, the
Uh-huh.
theremin because it's kooky and weird and silly.
The theremin?
Um, yeah, you know what a theremin is,
No, I don't. I don't
right?
actually know
So
this.
it's an electronic instrument. It's basically a a laser beam that you manipulate with your hands.
Oh, I know what that is.
You know, the
I
theremin.
actually had no idea what it was called though.
Yeah, but that's not the right answer. I'd probably say piano because it's the one I play the most, and
Okay.
I it's very versatile. It's a one person thing. You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
create a really like emotional and complete performance, and it's very accessible. The piano is
Totally.
very accessible to people. You can sing a song, you can do whatever you want with it, and yeah, it's the accessibility of it.
Yeah.
Piano.
No. Okay, piano is the answer. Gotcha. No,
Yeah.
that's cool. I love that. I played piano I think when I was younger. I had a month of lessons and I was like, "Mom, can I play the guitar?" She said, "Fine. We'll stop the piano lessons."
Piano
But
is also great for understand like being able to understand and visualize music theory right in front of you. Like I
oh,
play the flute
sure.
as well, but the fingers are here and you can't really see what you're doing. And it's not about that, but also you can see what you're doing on the piano when you can look at chords and you can understand how things go lower and higher. And it's really good for kids. This is my
Yeah.
music teacher self speaking, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I would agree. I've never actually thought about it in visualizing kind of music theory and stuff, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. That's a great answer. Okay. Second question. I feel like, at least over where I live, this is a common question. What is your favorite season of the year? What a sigh.
I don't know. I guess either spring or autumn.
Mm,
Autumn because it's my birthday in the autumn, and I like it when
yeah.
it's still kind of warm, but the days are closing in, and you can start wearing cozy jumpers and
Yeah.
snuggling up with a hot water bottle. But I also like spring because it's like, oh, great, summer's coming. Let's
Yes.
go.
It's
Let's
the
stay up later and
preparation.
let's go outside in the garden. So
Yeah.
it's never winter or summer, either autumn or spring. Don't know which one. Probably
Okay.
more autumn.
Yeah. I would probably agree with you. The
Sorry,
changing.
fall.
Yeah. You got to remember. Well, honestly, it's probably just me. Everyone else will understand, right? It's always just me because for some reason I like to stream at 5:30 in the morning. But hey, life
Yeah.
goes on. um, no, that's great. And Safi Roko, thank you for that raid, by the way. Appreciate you being here. Welcome. Great answer. All right, third question. What
Mm.
is the best dessert that you've ever had in your life?
I'm not a very desserty person. So my favorite dessert ever is affogato.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about this.
It's vanilla ice cream with a shot of espresso and a shot of amaretto.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've
And
had
I
that.
just mix it all together, and it's all I need because I like coffee, I like almond, and the ice cream's fine. Don't really care about the ice cream, but I'm not really a huge eat. Like I'm more of a salty, startery person.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's awesome. I actually love that dessert as well. Are you that person that when you drink coffee late at night, it keeps you up, or does it not do much to you?
Yeah, I don't drink coffee late at night because it will keep me
Okay. Oh my God, me too.
up.
Yeah, I think the last time I had a cup of coffee the other day at like 5 p.m. and it was bad. I stayed up
Yeah,
like
I generally
all night.
don't drink coffee after 12 noon.
Oh,
I
makes
switched to
sense.
tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right.
Yeah, no, I get you. Doesn't feel right. Oh, okay. Two more questions, Salma. This one's
Okay.
a really fun one. So let's see what you think. I'm always curious. Okay, what is the first word you think of that starts with the letter S?
Shield.
Shield. Okay. Can you elaborate on what shield?
No idea. I was trying to be really good and just think it just the first thing that it was shield or sofa. So I mean, there's nothing. Oh look, thanks for the follow, Bonnie.
Yeah, thanks for the follow.
There was I forgot you could see my alerts. I meant to turn them off, but never mind.
Not keep them.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that I'm terrible at those things because I try to play the game, and so I was
Yeah.
really trying not to play the game.
So you really thought into it.
I probably thought too hard. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's hey,
yeah.
I think there's two people, right? People that really think into it and people that don't. And they're usually those people say their name. That's why I always start it
Well,
with
I was
the
gonna try. Yeah, my name was there, but I
yeah,
ignored
I
it
know.
and I pushed it away.
I when CJ was on here, I asked him the same question and he said CJ. And I was like he's like, "Wait a minute. I probably shouldn't have said that." It was the best answer. I loved it.
So I won the game.
Yes, you won. You pretty much.
Yay
Yeah. We
me!
yeah. Yeah.
Yay!
Oh, I love that grape juice. Shield or shield? I gotcha
I
there.
don't know. I don't know what that means.
I'm referring it or thinking of it as like the what is that? Agents of Shield. It's a show or movie or something like that. I think.
Oh, I'm not really into the whole superheroes things.
It's all right. Me neither. I
Sorry. Well,
just for some reason know
sorry.
that. Okay, final question. This is a good one. I don't
Okay.
know. This will really set the tone for the rest of this podcast.
Okay.
What's the best programming language ever created?
I don't know that answer because do you know what? I've seen
Tell
people
me.
ask this question. I think
Yes.
maybe when you asked CJ this question
Uh-huh.
and he said JavaScript, I was like, obviously he's
Uh-huh.
going to say JavaScript. But because you know me, Alec, and part of my mission is
Yes.
those kind of things are silly questions.
Yes.
Because I haven't tried all of them, but all of them are good for different purposes, right?
Yeah.
And so like I wouldn't write a. I can't even think of an example now. But okay, for example, I tried to write a website in. I tried to write a Windows 95 simulator in the browser in Rust. That's not the right thing to write
Yikes.
a Windows 95 simulator in. It was a disaster. I needed to write in JavaScript. So
Mm.
no, there is no best program language ever. It's all subjective and it
Okay.
all depends.
I think that was the answer I was expecting. So I think you won again. That was beautiful.
Good.
Yeah. That was a great that's a great answer.
Yay me.
Yeah, Madhouse Steve, the right tool for the right job. I would agree. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, Salma. Thanks for answering those. Great answers all around. So appreciate that. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, I would love to talk to you kind of about where you got started. Kind of get to know who Salma is. So the first question really is, give us your TLDR. Where did you get started, and what do you do currently?
I'm going to give you the full TLDR
Yes.
from when I was 6 to now, and I'm going to try and do it as efficiently as possible.
All right. Do we have enough time for this?
Yeah, we do. Right. Age 6, write a program to make a ball bounce across the screen on a Commodore 64, copying it all from a manual.
Whoa, that is freaking cool.
I did it once, didn't do it again, but I was
Nah.
like, wow, tech. Age 13,
Mm-hmm.
got the internet at home and made my first website immediately on GeoCities, obviously.
GeoCities, yeah.
Still hooked on tech. And even before I got the internet, I was like trying to hack into my computer.
Okay, nice.
I was trying to do stuff in terminal, didn't understand it, but I was trying to do stuff. I was a musician for my whole childhood and
Mm-hmm.
adulthood, and there were no resources. This is going really long now. Didn't do
No,
tech because there
that's
was no
fine.
way for me to do it. School tech was not good modern tech.
Yeah.
I had no role models. I had no access to that. I did a music degree, was a professional musician, wanted to be a film composer.
Oh, no
That's tough.
way. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
I
crazy tough.
my degree's in composition. Um, and then I got into music teaching more informally. First of all, I taught the flute. I taught at a music college, taught kids, and I was the Jack Black of Manchester. I taught rock bands,
Oh my
and
God,
it was
yes.
really fun. And
Yeah.
then I decided to become a qualified teacher, so I did that for a few years. Then I quit. I was a comedian for a while,
Oh my gosh.
a musical comedian. There used to be loads of videos on the internet. We went viral a couple of times, but my
Wow.
comedy partner is still a teacher, so we removed all the videos. Um,
Oh.
I I got a job in a call center, minimum wage.
Mm,
The person who was my manager saw my CV. I had graphic design on my CV because I used to do album art for my friends who are
okay.
musicians, and I
Yeah.
made their websites in iWeb, if you remember iWeb.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah.
It was like the Dreamweaver of Mac.
Yep.
Anyway, so I did that for my friends, even when I wasn't doing tech. Anyway, he saw that on my CV. His girlfriend was just leaving a very small startup magazine-y, website-y place. They needed a graphic designer. I went there and got a job there as a graphic designer and salesperson. And there was
Yeah.
one tech guy who did the CMS, the DevOps, the back end, the front end.
Yeah.
And I was like, hello, can I get in on this, please?
Yeah.
And I was there for 6 months, got made redundant, but then decided to move into front end,
Mhm.
got all the jobs I applied for somehow, and then I became a team lead engineer. Then, I've learned more and more as I've gone on, more about the full stack, about architecture, but all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I that's me, and it's gone for that. I've been in dev for properly for 6.5 years.
Okay. That's man, I have so many questions right now. First of all, were you truly dubbed the Jack Black of your town? That is incredible. I love
I
that.
think I dubbed myself it, and actually there is a video on YouTube that I made
Uh-huh.
to promote the thing I was doing. It was
Yeah.
like a franchise thing. It can be found still. I'm not ashamed. It's right there. I look like 12 years old. But yeah, it was. I built up 3 centers in Manchester where we did evening classes for rock bands, and I did a
Oh,
lot
that
of
is
workshops
awesome.
in schools to promote it and
Yeah.
recruit kids into it.
No, that is really awesome. I actually remember, I think it was probably around like 8 or 9 years ago. A lot of where I grew up, a lot of like these rock band centers would start popping up, and it's like, hey, are you looking
Yeah,
for some people to play some rock music with? Come here, and we'll teach you how to do it. And I was always amazed
because
by it.
because you must know, Alec, that it's
Yeah,
really boring trying to play guitar on your own,
it is. Yeah,
and
that
that's the
that
thing.
is that is so true. And I actually currently right now, my brother, him and I listen to very similar music, and we actually have a shared OneDrive folder of garage band stuff that we pass back and forth. He'll add drums, guitar, vocals, all this stuff, and
Nice,
we collaborate on music that way now since we can't do it in person. But yeah,
nice.
that's great. So okay, so you talked about also being a musical comedian. How and why did this start?
Um, so my best friend from music college,
Yeah.
uni, um, we always used to get together on an evening and write songs together and sing songs together, and they were
Yeah.
silly, funny songs. So we decided to record some YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm a musician. I produced them properly. We did proper vocals. We did like proper orchestral backing and everything. And it was like full on.
Wow.
We record the videos on our phones.
Yeah.
I would do them in iMovie, and then we just put them on. And we just decided we might as well put them on YouTube. And then
Yeah.
after that, we then started doing gigs around the country, entered some competitions. What we used to do open mics and win loads of open mic slots and things like that.
Yeah.
But it was really hard work because we used to lug around this full-size digital piano,
I see.
and it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting paid. We weren't getting paid for this. We had full-time jobs, and then we'd
Yeah.
go and do this in the evening. We'd get back at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
It was just too much, so we retired
Sure.
after a few years.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I feel like you kind of find this passion around doing things outside of your day job, and then you're kind of at this point where, do I keep doing this, or do I figure out what else to do? But that
and if you think the programming world is bad and toxic and weird, just wait till you see the comedy world. It's mad.
Yeah,
it's mad.
I can imagine, honestly. I've watched a couple documentaries on some comedians, and I'm always amazed by some of the backstories they give, and you don't really think about that stuff, right? So always good to know. Folks, one thing I wanted to mention before we keep going here, we have a special command for Salma. If you just type in ! Salma in chat, you'll get her Twitch and Twitter channels. So all you have to do is go ahead and do that. Go drop her a follow. Go share some love. Sponge brought up Fretnator, so hopefully you can find that there as well. Yes. Okay. So you also talked about how you kind of hinted at how you started to get into development and how this process started. So I wanted to ask you the question of what excited you most about that? Why were you so excited to get into this world?
I felt it made me feel powerful that I could make a computer do things.
Yeah. Okay. That's a really cool answer. Yeah.
It was like not like a kind of dictatorship power, but like if I can do this, think what I might be able to do for other people.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And how I might be able to make something that could help them, or to build something that could do good in the world, or that kind of thing, It just felt really, it lit up a part of my brain that music didn't. It was like music lights up this part of my brain and coding lights up this part of my brain, and together, if I do both, my brain is happy.
Yeah. Wow. That's actually a really cool answer. So I think you and I are like really on the same page. I don't know if I've told you, Salma, I've mentioned it a couple times in the podcast, but I used to hate programming. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I was like, why would anyone ever want to do this in their life? You're stuck in front of a screen, probably going to get arthritis because you're typing all day.
Yeah.
and you don't get anything out of it. And then I had an internship in university where I was a web developer, and they were like, hey, can you help us build some stuff? And I said, sure. I was looking for opportunities. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And then I had this kind of epiphany moment of, wow, I literally can have a laptop, the internet, and an idea, and I can impact millions of people around the world, anywhere in the world. And that blew my mind. And so I totally get you on that point of you can control the computer in the way where you can make impact to people all around the world.
I guess there's a flip side to that as well, that people can take that power and then use it for awful things.
Sure.
But if you have more people who can do the good things and combat the bad things, then that's fine. But there's a lot of power.
Yeah.
There's so much power. When we're talking about like security and development and all this stuff, there's so much power and it comes so much responsibility as well. So I always go too deep into these things. Some people just sit there and code, but I've always got to go into like the deeper human meaning about it.
Yeah. But I think, in my opinion, that's what makes makes tech even better in this sort of culture and community, right? There's always people that are really thinking into it. And as we get into more things, like completely off topic, but more things like AI, that is the most important part of
Yeah.
teaching these computers to do things, because we all know there's a bunch of bias from humans. So how do we make it so not one human is making this AI? And so I think it's really interesting, and it's very important in my opinion.
That is such an ethical dilemma. We could talk
Yeah.
for hours about that.
Yes. Maybe another podcast stream.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I feel like with everyone that comes on, I'm like, we should put this in another stream talk, because we could
Yeah.
definitely talk about a lot of these for a while. But no, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing. And before we get into the main topic, there was one more question I wanted to ask you. Up to this point of your dev career, what's your most favorite project that you've created? So there's always so much thought. I love it. It's like, hold on, let me gather myself.
I don't even know,
Hmm.
because I guess we've talked about this before. I'm always striving to do something that
Yeah.
really benefits people, but I don't really feel I've achieved that goal yet with a piece of tech, because of the nature of the places that I've worked.
Yeah.
And I've only recently started, in the last couple of years, feeling how I've only recently had enough confidence to do that, to do tech in my own time on
Yeah.
my own projects. I mean, I guess the Fretinator was something that was in direct response to my husband's problem, where all the other guitar theory sites are full of walls of text
Yeah.
and images and weird stuff. And so I feel like I developed that on my own, and it was difficult because I don't play guitar really.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of my husband like doing a lot of the QA. I had all the theory. I was also writing it in Angular, which the only experience I had with Angular before was Angular JS. It doesn't matter
Okay.
about the tech.
Yeah.
The thing is that there was a problem that someone I loved had, and I solved it. And it gave me so much joy when I saw him downstairs, just randomly got up the Fretinator and was playing his guitar. So I guess
Yeah.
that's it. I guess that's the one, because it had a real purpose. Even if that purpose was for one person,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
it had a purpose.
that's awesome. I would agree. That is a cool project. And thank you, Sponge, for posting that in chat, by the way. Yeah. If you want to check out Frednator, it's right there, made by yours truly. So it is cool. I was just talking to Salma earlier and saying that I actually use this on a monthly basis as well. Because my music theory is probably garbage, but I'm trying to get better at it, and it's been actually really helpful. So, yeah.
Fun fact:
yeah.
that this is what when I started streaming back in June. I was working on the Fretinator, so my very early streaming was this. It was like it was pretty much finished, but I was adding some finishing touches and stuff, and it's kind of what got me into streaming as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. And that's what I love, right? Sometimes you have a project and you're. When you found Twitch and you discovered this, programming community on Twitch, it's like, well, let me see if I can share this with other people. And
yeah,
you start a whole new journey with that. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, sweet. Thank you for that, Salma, for those questions and answers. So I have now the main topic of today's podcast, inclusivity in tech. So I wanted to, we have, yes, is right. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of great talks about this. But before we get started with any of those questions, my first thing to you is, what do you consider the meaning of inclusivity?
It is about creating an atmosphere and opportunities around tech and in tech for anyone who wants to get involved in any way that could enhance their life through being part of. So I could go on. Yeah, it's just like,
yeah, keep going.
Being non-judgmental, being open to being challenged and questioned and changing your opinions and how you do things based on new information. Yeah. It's about considering that there are other ways rather than just this one way with this one language that you know.
Yeah.
And it's about making anybody, any age, from any background, in any place, feel welcome and accepted in the tech community.
Beautifully said.
End.
Yeah.
End.
End.
I'll stop talking.
No, that I think that's a perfect, introduction into what we'll be talking about today. That's awesome. The one thing I kind of wanted to bring out of scope here real quick was, do you think that inclusivity is only something that is really pertinent in tech, or do you feel like it's also part of other career areas?
This is a global issue.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go, there are going to be cliques and niches and the best way to do something, and oh, you should do it this way, and you see it everywhere, and more as we are a digital online world, toxicity is everywhere, and hate is everywhere. And I guess inclusivity means an end to that hate regardless, and working together to build something better. So yeah, it's everywhere. It's not just tech. I've been in the tech world for a while, and I see it in tech because I'm in tech.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I always like to kind of frame these with, we're all very enthralled in tech, and so we see this all the time, or not just this but other things in general. But I always like to give people perspective of, hey, this is not just in tech. This is actually a worldwide phenomenon in other career paths, or even just your daily life, right? So I think it's always good to know. That's one thing I talked about with Matt, Dr. Dynamite, last week or the other week about imposter syndrome. It's very pertinent in tech, but you can go in any career path and feel like you're an imposter in that area.
This feels like a really good time for a tiny little aside anecdote.
Yes.
About inclusivity and about, I guess, why I'm so passionate about it.
Yes.
So I'm mixed race. My dad is Indian. My mum is white English. When you grow up mixed race, especially when you're born in the 80s, you don't belong anywhere, right? So when I went to school in this really, really white school, I was the brown girl. When I went, I was brought up in a Muslim family. I went to a mosque every Friday, but I was the white girl there. I didn't fit in anywhere because there were these communities who weren't being inclusive. They were seeing me as some outcast. And I guess that's why I am like I am, because I don't want to make people feel like that.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we can just one day end that nonsense, whether it's for the color of your skin or where you come from or what language you want to write in.
Yeah, that's a really good aside. And for, this is a worldwide thing, but anyone living in the US right now, that's a very pertinent thing that's happening.
Yeah.
And I wish things could be better. But yeah, it's people like you, people like other people who are passionate about inclusivity like this. We, need to help push that forward. So really, really nicely said there, Salma. So with that being said, kind of to go back to the scope of the tech community, do you feel like people in tech struggle with inclusivity currently? And if so, do they struggle a lot, or is it just a little bit?
So there are two sides to this. So there are people who struggle with absolutely feeling not included. Myself, even a lot of the time. And I always preface talking about this issue with, I hate talking about this issue, but I hate talking about women in tech. But it's a problem. It's a systemic problem where women are automatically assumed to be less competent. The amount of people that come into my streams and try and, they don't understand that I'm as competent as the next person. And, someone even came into my stream and said, I've never seen a woman code before. It's like, well, clearly you haven't gone out of your house ever. But, it's like those things people, and there's a lot of neurodiversity in tech as well. But there seems to be and there's a certain way people normally dress when you're in tech, or so they see people who don't dress like that and automatically, oh, you can't be someone in tech because you don't look like someone in tech. I think the media has, the media is responsible for all sorts of nonsense, and I think there's this image of a 20-something white man in a check shirt with glasses on on
Yeah.
a MacBook. That's
Mm.
tech. Or it's some fat old guy in a basement sorting out the servers. That's
Yeah.
tech to
Yeah.
the media.
Mm.
And so when you put that in front of people, so you get young people who see that about tech and think, oh my gosh,
Mm.
um, I can't be like these people. I can't do tech because I don't fit into those categories. It's getting better now. Like there's a lot more out there and there are a lot more role models out there, but I still find it personally
Yeah.
quite challenging sometimes. At work, I'm sometimes, and the jobs I've been in, I'm the only woman in a room of 15 men
Yeah.
having a meeting. And the dynamic's going to be different rather than if you had 50% women and 50% women. Um, and so it is by nature the fact that like we don't have enough diversity or in tech because it's not
Mm.
inclusive because of the way we work, the way we're expected to work and look and feel, but
Yeah.
also because it stays like that and there are few and far in between things that are trying to tackle it on a bigger scale, people don't get into it. So it's like a vicious circle. And I'm trying to like break it down and break through it. And I'm trying, over the next couple of years, if what happens in the next few weeks happens, then I'm hopefully going to go on this ridiculous mission.
Mm.
But I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
I know that. But it's about just getting out there, talking about it, making sure that we do things like this and talk about it to hopefully, if you just change one mind about this and get someone to question it. The point is that we get brought up, not, I think sometimes we can get brought up not being encouraged to question when something looks a bit odd or looks a bit wrong. And your brain then adjusts that to be normal.
Yeah.
When
Right.
actually, what is normal? Nothing's normal. And anything goes, right? Anyone goes, anyone can get into tech, anyone can.
Yeah.
And people have proved that day after day after day, but it's still not mainstream.
Yeah.
But it needs to be because the more diverse team you have building software to solve problems, the more people you're automatically going to cater for. Because if you've just got a group of very, very similar people building something for that, they'll build it for that group of very, very same similar people.
Sure.
And you need different people to give the world what it needs to make it better.
Mm. Yeah. That was, man, incredible answer. I've just like digesting a lot of this because I think the biggest thing in my mind that you've brought up was this idea of how people portray the people in tech, and that's something. You're right. It's like I think of a developer, and I think of what you just described, and it's like why do I think that way though? Why is my mind thinking this way of, oh, this person or that person? And I could even somewhat say that I somewhat fit that mold, right? Like this male in his 20s with glasses working for tech. Like it's a very interesting thing. I think that you brought up.
Can we just address this question? This someone in chat,
Yes, please.
Gilita. There is no proof that diversity makes anything better. It's just ideology, and that is the kind of thing that holds us back. Like why? There's no that's the kind of thing that makes me really upset because it's like it doesn't matter if you've had no proof that diversity makes anything better. It's a human psychological thing. And there have been studies on this, and I wish I could cite some right now, but I can't. It's just say if you have you've got a red and a blue paint, right? You've got red and blue and any shades of purple. You've got three colors basically. If you had a palette of 100 different colors, you could create a painting that's not just red, blue, and purple. So those diversity of paint colors means you can create something very, very fantastic and spectacular with more than three colors. If you think of it like that, I'm not talking about the color of people's skin, but the color of people's personality and the color of people's experiences and the color of people's different viewpoints and feelings. this is one of the best analogies I've ever come up with, and I've just come up with it now. So I'm going to use that again.
Yeah,
So
that
thank
that was
you. But
that I
think of it
like.
like that.
Yeah. No, that was really cool. I like the idea that you said it's not about the color of your skin, it's the person's personality, the color of their personality.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Definitely love that.
I have synesthesia as well. That's another quite
Mm,
fun detail about me. And I have like 5 types, and it's all about colors for me. So I think that's why that came out like
okay.
that. But
Yeah.
yeah, the color, everyone has a color to me, and everyone, when you get loads and loads of different colors together,
Yeah.
I'm not just talking. Yeah, I am talking about diversity of thought. I'm talking about diversity of human beings and diversity of everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and not. It's so much wider than what you're thinking about, and you've got to open your mind a little bit and
Yeah.
love a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think, obviously everyone is open to their own opinions, of course, but it's, uh, yeah, I think Salma, you make a really good point about a lot of this. And it's the fact about opening your mind to things for sure. And I think this is actually a really good segue into the next question I had for you, Salma. Kind of given what we've already talked about, do you feel like inclusivity is purposely ignored by people in tech? Or is it maybe just the fact that the education around inclusivity is not there?
I think it's the latter.
Mm.
I think it's the latter. And to put another kind of, what's the word, controversial word into the mix, I think
Uh-huh.
privilege means
Mm.
that people don't have never had to think about it.
Mm.
I was having a conversation the other day in my Discord, and I said, I've recently started going by the title Ms rather than Mrs. because I don't want to be defined by my marital status, because
Sure.
men don't have to be defined by their marital status.
Totally. Yeah.
And a man came into the conversation and said, I've never thought about that before because I've never had to choose my title on a form, because your title is the default on many, many forms.
Yeah.
And so I think if you've never experienced feeling not included, if you've never experienced feeling being on the outside, I think you're less inclined to want to make it better, unfortunately.
Mm. Yeah. No, I think you make a really good point there. Yeah, it's being less inclined, right? It's not maybe the fault of your own. You just haven't known about this thing, right? You
Yeah.
haven't been surrounded by it. You haven't really experienced it. And I unfortunately, the only way to do that is to experience something like that, or to, talk to someone that has experienced it and understand their side of things. And again, that kind of being openness is a really good point to hit on.
And I guess my approach to those people who seemingly don't prioritize inclusivity is that I don't I give them the benefit of the doubt, and
Mm.
I like to think that it's because they've just never had to question it or never had to experience it, and so I approach that with not with hate or toxicity and like how dare you not include someone. I
Yeah.
approach it with education and wanting to enter into a discussion to
Yeah.
say, and maybe tell my story or someone else's story, and so they can maybe see it from someone else's point of view. But it's those kind of things that, I mean, I've been in situations where it doesn't happen overnight. You
Yeah.
can't just put someone over to the other side telling one story.
Yeah.
You have to kind of show them, and it has to be relevant to them. So they need to find, there may be an element, there may be a time in their life where they haven't felt included,
Yeah.
but they hadn't realized it because there's so much unconscious bias in the world, and there's so many like microaggressions in the world, and so
Sure.
it's just normal, so you don't question it.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and little things like a lot of the time people presume someone's gender just from their name, or they presume someone's ethnicity. My ethnicity is presumed all the time and presumed wrongly, and it's those kind
Yeah.
of things that when people are just looking at what they see and not thinking about the bigger picture,
Yeah.
that they're not including the bigger picture.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, those are great examples for sure. And obviously, you've someone that has lived through some of this, and so you have more of that scope and mindset.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked this question is because I feel like this is very pertinent in large companies, right? In regards to tech, especially people that are hiring others. It's a very very thin line between this kind of idea of, hey, how can we be more inclusive, but also how can we make sure we get the right person for the job? And I think this is a really interesting point that you've brought up, which is why I was very curious to see, it sounds like in your opinion, there needs to just be more education around this subject as a whole.
It's interesting you talk about this because at my work this year, in response to Black Lives Matter, we actually set up a new group at work called the Promoting Digital Diversity Group. Okay. Me and a few others, and our aim was to, number one, we did an assessment of our ethnic mix in our company, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
In terms of it wasn't very diverse, and especially in certain areas, there's 3 women. Well, there were 2 women at the time in engineering out of 40, that kind of thing. One of them being me. And so what we have done is we've realized that it's not about just when you interview people, it's about where you promote those jobs and where you are looking for those people and bringing them in. And obviously you want to find the right person for the job, but if you're just interviewing the same people that you have at your work already, you're only going to get them. And if you're only going to the same places and you're putting your jobs on one jobs board that only one type of person looks at, you're not going to get a diverse range of applicants.
Yeah.
And then we're also looking at how we interview, and like it's about having a diverse panel at interview. So if you're interviewing someone, make sure that you've got a man and a woman at least interviewing them, or somebody else, at least a mix of people, right? That's representative of the company that you're working for. The amount of times previously at my work where they'd be interviewing, say for example, a early 20s woman, and she would be interviewed by 3 middle-aged white men. Yeah. That's not going to make her feel like safe and comfortable. And a human thing is when you see similarities in someone, you feel safer. Yeah. When you hear an accent like yours, you feel safer. Mm-hmm. When you know someone likes the same books as you or the same music as you, you feel a connection. Yeah. And so it's about creating those opportunities to make to feel psychologically safer, so you can do better in the interview anyway, and you can just feel like more included rather than an outsider. The amount of times I've been interviewed for jobs with 6, 7, 8 middle-aged white men, I just feel like, what am I doing here? It doesn't feel right. Yeah. Because it's not representative of the population at that place, clearly. Yeah. Or maybe it is, and maybe that's where I don't want to work. But it's about how you go about the process.
Yeah. No, the process, as that's the thing that really catches on to me. It's all about the process for sure. And I like the fact that you talked about, hey, maybe we can post this job in a different job board. Maybe we can post it in these different areas. It's all about that. And, depending on the size of your company, obviously you can try to be as inclusive as possible. But sometimes with smaller companies, it's harder to do. But that doesn't mean you can't be thinking about it at the very beginning, at the very start, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And
make it known that you're thinking about that. We've put on our website recently, we're actively we want to try and actively find more women in engineering to apply and more people from ethnic minorities to apply. So if you are that, we want you, because we're having trouble finding those people applying. I was looking through CVs this week for a front-end dev role, 20 applications, 1 woman. Why?
Yeah.
It's to do with how you have promoted it, where you have promoted it, what the website looks like, how the job advert is written as well. And the job advert is written by a man. It's written with masculine words. This is a thing, right? There have been studies about I met a recruiter this year who said they did some studies about this, and they wrote job adverts in different ways with more feminine words and more masculine words. And obviously more women apply to the differently written ones to the man written ones. And I don't want to get into arguments here about like what is feminine and what is masculine, but there are feminine and masculine words in the English language, and people gravitate towards things they feel more affinity with.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And yes, you cannot cater for every single person in those kind of things, but you can cater for more than one like single type.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's I think it's really interesting. It's a good point. Like, so one thing, I my job at Microsoft, I was actually part of a culture team on our team because I was really passionate about this idea of, hey, like, we need more inclusivity here. We need to. I want a really cool work environment for myself and my coworkers, and this is something that we constantly talk about. And it's even at a trillion-dollar company like Microsoft. Like, this is a thing that is hard to change. And so it's all about the education. It's all about actively trying to go do this thing. And you need people out there to actually do it. So yeah, I think that's great, Salma. And one thing you said about this, the CVs targeting specific people kind of leads me into the next question for you. And this is in regards to, I feel free to get as personal as you like on this, but it's more along the lines of, when did you start to notice that being a woman in tech was very different from being a man in tech? I think this is a really, like, again, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, but I think this is a really important thing for people to hear.
So as a woman in tech, you're always singled out, you're on your own most of the time. Like all the jobs I've had, I've been the only woman or one of two or three women in the bigger places. You don't get paid as much as men, despite being asked to get paid as much. So one place I was working, I was at that point, actually, before I left, the most senior woman in that department. And I was getting paid just over half of what male graduates were getting paid. And because of rules of certain raises and or not, they said, no, we can't do it. Sorry, we can't do it. Because I was just such a tiny statistic in that department, it was like, I didn't matter. And the amount of times that I've been in interviews or in sessions with me and just all men, where I'm going to talk about this because it's horrible, but it's a thing. So I remember I worked somewhere for a very short time, and in my first week, I was the only woman in a room full of like 15 men, and they were all being really inappropriately sexually aggressive to each other whilst I was just there, a new person in the business, someone who is a professional technologist, and just the atmosphere in the room was really intimidating and really just like gross. I was also introduced around the department as a lovely lady rather than a lead engineer. Like, you wouldn't introduce a male colleague as, here's this lovely man.
Yeah.
He's come to work here. And I spoke up about this at the time, but I was silenced and I was told to stop speaking about it, to take a post off LinkedIn where I was just engaging in a conversation about this very situation, about the lovely lady thing. I was like, as a woman in tech, as a minority in tech, I need to have these conversations, challenge these things, speak up about them to get the conversation going and give people the benefit of the doubt. But no, I was told to take it down. Otherwise, I would be disciplined, and I had to just be quiet. I stayed there for 5 days. I left straight after. I was not going to stay there.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst experiences, one of the worst weeks of my life I've ever had. And I have had an experience in smaller places where I was the only woman in the tech department, and I was on the leadership team. But every time I was in a meeting with the CEO, I would give my lead engineer expert opinion on what we had to do and a plan to move forward. And then he would say, no, we can't do that. We have to do this. When I would say another time, oh yeah, okay, we'll do your thing, he would say, no, you can't do that. So like every single time, every single thing I said, it was wrong. And I don't know whether it was because of his personality or whether it was I was a woman, but he didn't do that to anybody else but me.
I see.
And it carries on to this day. Like a few weeks ago, I had an experience with a client, it's a new client, a group of middle-aged white men over a Microsoft Teams call, being really talking inappropriately about women.
Yeah.
And a weird comment was directed at me because of my green screen.
Yeah.
I talked to a member of my leadership team about this, a middle-aged white man, and his immediate reaction was to dismiss what he said and said, "Oh, he probably didn't mean it." And
Yep. Yeah.
it's like, because it's just like, you don't get it unless you've experienced it. Like, you can empathize, but the fact that it was, oh, Salma's just getting too emotional about it. The amount of times I have been labeled as too emotional.
Yeah.
And it's just, all the things are out there. Women are always labeled as emotional. They're not taken seriously.
Yeah.
I experience it to this day, even though I'm in a really nice place right now culturally. There are one or two people who still, it hasn't clicked in their brains yet that this is wrong. And sometimes it's so difficult to keep fighting and to keep talking about it because it's horrible.
Yeah.
and it makes you feel like just crawling into a corner, quitting your job, and just never existing, because it's never ending.
Yeah.
And so I want to make things better for people that come after me, and the way I can do that is by doing stuff like this and going through hell.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks. I mean, thanks for sharing, Salma. Thanks for getting so deep. I know this is probably one of those questions that, it's hard to talk about. I think this subject in general is hard to talk about. But I do think for people, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. For people that are just tuning in, or people that may be feeling the same way and don't know what to do, or feel like they don't have anyone that can relate to them. This is really awesome that you're being so open and sharing that with people, because I feel like that's the only way it can change.
If I was to keep quiet, I would be doing myself an injustice, because there are so many people suffering day in, day out, and not being included and being treated like this. And I don't want to attack anyone, but I just want to just make people aware that you can be our allies in this. Everyone in this chat, anyone who watches this VOD or listens to this podcast, you have a responsibility to look after people around you and be their allies, and understand with an inclusive mindset that you can help make it better. It's not necessarily it's not just the responsibility of the people who are being victimized and are being excluded. It's everybody's responsibility to play their part to make the world a better place.
Yeah, man, that just hit home with me for sure on a lot of levels. Just in our world right now, like, this is just world advice at this point, right? Like, there's so much around this that can be said. And I feel as though, Salma, you might have taken my questions and read them in advance or something, because you went right to the perfect next question that I was going to have for you. So thank you for that, making my job easier.
I hope it's a lighthearted one, because I need a break. I'm getting really emotional.
Yeah, no, we definitely can do that. I love all the cheers going on Salma's channel. Definitely go drop her a follow. ! Salma in chat. Will give the Twitter and Twitch handles for her. So if you haven't yet, I'm sure everyone knows who you are, but in case you do not, go ahead and go drop a follow on her channel.
One thing, Bold Bearded Builder has just said, actually, a brilliant thing. Don't limit yourself just to empathizing or including. Make efforts to amplify other voices. That is top-notch sentence there.
Yeah, it's doing what you can, helping how you can, and don't silence other voices. Amplify
Lift them up.
It's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. But yeah, we can definitely talk a little bit. That was a very deep question. This was more along the lines of, cool. So we know kind of about this stuff. We know a little bit more information. I wanted to know what you thought about how we can catch ourselves when we're not being inclusive, either, at work, on a personal level with our friends. Like, how can we take a step back from situations and be like, whoa, yeah, maybe I could be more like this, or something along those lines.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't know. And so what I would recommend is to ask people
Yeah.
how to write something, or how should what's the deal with this. For example, some of the stuff I was doing at work with the Promoting Digital Diversity team, I'm not very au fait with the LGBTQIA community. There's some terminology and some words that are what you should use. And when I was writing something up for something at work, I made sure to go to someone who I would know about that to make sure I was writing it in the right way, in the most inclusive way.
Yeah.
And what I love recently about the whole gender identity movement is that people nowadays like to put their pronouns on their Twitter bios and things like that. Yeah. If you're not sure about someone, ask, right? Yeah. Look at all this rain.
Oh my gosh, look at all this love. Let's go.
Awesome. All you've got to do is ask. If you don't know, like maybe just question everything that you're doing, not to the point where you make yourself go completely crazy, but take a look at what you're going to write online, or take a look at what you're going to, just think about what you're going to say, and maybe run it by someone if it's going to be inflammatory or something. And then also, you can make every effort, but you can still say something wrong.
Yeah.
And if someone approaches you and says, that did not make me feel included, then say, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I'm going to do better next time. Like, so many people are, because what's hard is like, a lot of people will expect you actually to say, if you don't feel included, they'll, I can say whatever I want. And if someone doesn't like it, they can tell me.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite. Like I was saying to you before, there's stuff that I rehearse in my head before I go on stream.
Yeah.
As clever retaliations to some of the nonsense that I get in my chat. But when the moment comes, I freeze and I can't do it because I feel so psychologically weird.
Yeah.
And so you cannot necessarily expect people to speak up at those moments when they feel excluded.
Yeah.
And so just ask, engage in a conversation, open it up. If we don't talk about it, it's never going to get better.
Yeah.
And it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel difficult. And we've got a long way to go. But if you just have a conversation regardless, and you're open to that, then I think that's definitely a good way to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully answered. I really agree with you on the point of just asking, right? And like being open to receiving feedback on things and understanding, just like, I don't know, I think the title of this should be how to be open-minded about certain things, right? And just understand about just like being open-minded. I think at the end of the day, that's really all it comes down to, right? But I'm going to take this back a little bit because this is just a super random question that I thought of.
Okay.
Do you play video games?
I used to.
But
not so much. I used to do. Me and my husband used to do it a lot together. We used to play. We used to really play loads of puzzle games, and we used to like things like BioShock, and one of my favorite games actually was called Abduction. Have you played Abduction?
I haven't played
Love
Abduction.
That game.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, like creepy, indie, weird, eerie stuff. I just haven't had the time recently. I'm just streaming when I'm not working.
No, I totally understand that feeling. The reason why I was asking is because have you ever thought about doing like a game stream on your Twitch channel?
No.
Is there a reason why?
I feel like I would attract a different audience that I wouldn't know how to interact with.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like that's actually a really, really valid answer because of programming streams are very different from game streams.
Yeah.
Totally.
And actually, I don't enjoy watching gaming streams for one reason or another,
Mm.
and I enjoy watching programming streams. And so that's why I started
Yeah.
streaming programming, because that's what I liked to watch. And I thought, I know how to do this because I know what to talk about. I don't know what to do. I feel very, very vulnerable streaming games.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah.
Vulnerable streaming games, and I feel like I've had somewhat of that same feeling too. I have streamed games on my channel, and I'm Pocket. Don't say anything, but I don't feel like I'm that good given my death counters. And Pocket will attest to that, but I don't want him to because it'll make me feel bad. But it's interesting, like that sort of vulnerability aspect, because I've talked to people in my community that have been like, hey, I don't really want to stream programming because I don't feel like I'm good enough to actually stream programming. And all of this kind of to bring up the point of how do you feel like you can promote people in your community to be more inclusive with things like streaming, or like, do you feel like a game stream could bring a lot more inclusivity with your channel, with other people and things like that?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about before we started, in that I'm not after a huge audience to look at me.
Yeah.
My goal is to spread a message and build a group of people up to then go and spread that message elsewhere,
Yeah.
like kind of by osmosis. And so I also feel like I don't know, I would, it's just something that my brain is like, no, no, never, don't even try. I've actually considered a different type of stream though.
Oh, tell me more.
A music stream.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's
Um,
go.
I'm probably going to end up doing this in 2021 because I need to get some equipment, but I'm planning to, especially if I one day get to do streaming as part of my job. I
Yeah.
think I'd like to do a different kind of stream after hours,
Yeah.
and I would like to do some music improv streams.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that idea. Do you feel like you're going to play a certain instrument, or is it just going to be just random on
I
your nose?
it would be loop based synthesizer stuff with vocals.
Oh. Oh, that is awesome. I think that's actually really cool right now too, because at least a lot of the artists I listen to in bands, they like every member of the band live streams on Twitch. And so they come by and they're like, "Hey, by the way, we're making new music. Do you want to check it out?" And
Yeah,
it's like it's the best feeling, because I feel like next time I go see this artist at a show, I'll be like, I know you. I've watched you on Twitch
yeah,
for so long.
yeah,
And so music is definitely a big hit right now on Twitch.
yeah. But I need to pay off my credit card for all the like streaming stuff I bought so far, so
Yeah.
then invest in my actual music streaming setup, and actually have to think in my head whether it's really, really worth it. But it's something I definitely want to do, because I'm downstairs on my piano whenever I can, just tiddling about and
Yeah.
improvising, and I feel like I could do this for people and make it really fun. I've been a musician, a performer on stage for years, so it's like going back to the old days, really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. I wanted to, I don't know. I just had this question around gaming, and this kind of just came off the
Yeah.
cuff. I thought it was a really interesting thought to think about. Okay, awesome. So before we kind of wrap up for this topic,
Ooh.
I had one more question for you.
Okay.
And for anyone who's interested to ask Salma a question about inclusivity, or just honestly anything, or myself, feel free to type in !Q and then add your question. We're going to be doing a Q&A section after this. So it's always a really fun time. There's always some great questions there. Yes. But so my question to you is more of, so we know that you're on this incredible mission to bring inclusivity to people in tech, and starting that journey is definitely going to be a difficult one, but I'm sure it's going to be an incredible journey nonetheless. So how can people get involved with you? How can they help bring this inclusivity to where they work, to what they do? or right alongside you?
It's a state of mind, and it's an attitude, and it's a way you live your life, and it's not going to be it's okay. Here we go. This is another good analogy, right? So
Okay.
think of it like programming. You can't wake up one day, learn a few functions in a language, and boom, you're a programmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Similarly, you can't wake up one day, say, I'm inclusive, and boom, you're inclusive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about, just as I said before, it's opening your mind, right? And it is also at the same time challenging yourself as well as challenging other people,
Yeah.
but not in a horrible, toxic way, in a really like empathetic, open, welcoming way.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things I'm still really, really overwhelmed by is the community in my Discord.
Mm.
And obviously I've streamed, going about my streams in the way I'm talking about being inclusive to you.
Yeah.
And I have seemingly amassed one of the most beautiful groups of people I have ever come across in my whole life.
Yeah.
And everyone is looking out for each other, everyone's supporting each other. We've got so many different people in our so many different types of people in the Discord, different ages, different ethnicities, different gender identities, different neurodiversity, and
Yeah.
it's incredible that I started my streams in June this year with this attitude and this mission. And they kind of like, hey, Tim, and they kind of like just came
Yeah.
and came together through a shared appreciation and a shared, I'm going to say, shared mission to create that kind of community and take that into other places.
Yeah.
So the way you can start is just by living it,
Mm.
and challenging yourself, challenging other people, and just waking up the next day and saying, I'm going to be better.
Yeah.
And I'm going to approach everything as much as I can with the knowledge that I have from the place that I come from, with an inclusive mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully said. I always love the fact that you bring up this idea of you can't just wake up and be good at something or be this thing that you want to be, right? It always takes work. And this this brings me back to like a programming thing that I did when I was back in university. My last year of university, I was like, hey, I want to build an iPhone app. Like zero knowledge in programming. I'm just like, yeah, let's just build this thing. I wake up, I'm like, it's gonna be easy. Okay, cool. I wake up that next day and I start to work on it, and I was like, oh crap, this is absolutely terrible. This is so hard. That one app that I wanted to build in a weekend took me 1.5 years to build, because
this is it's true story though. That's what happens. Yeah. That's life. That's programming.
Yeah. It just like that analogy always hits home with me, because that feeling stinks, to realize like, oh wow, I actually need to put work into this. Okay. But it's a good lesson to live by, right? You always have to put work into something if you want something to come out of it. Yeah. And Sponge, yes, it was Cycles. Cycles is a daily habit creator that I made.
And let me just tell you,
yes,
putting work into something like this, it has exponential benefits.
Yes.
For so many people around you who take that to other people and who take that to other people. And sometimes I get, since I was a teenager, I get very upset at the world. I get very upset, like I get very emotional and upset about things like war and capitalism and all this stuff that directly contradicts being a good human being.
Yeah.
And that's all this really boils down to. Bottom line is, just be a good human being. Be empathetic. connect with people, live your best lives, just be cool, right?
Be cool. Hey, you heard it here first. Salma 2020. Just be cool.
Just be cool. Oh, I've already got a cool panther on. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I
we
was
can
gonna
do
say,
pew
can we
pew
get some of those pixel glasses to come like right over your eyes right now? Just be cool.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, stream idea. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, it's really funny because that was actually one of the first ideas I had when I started streaming. I was like, how can I get this pixel glass to come over my glass? Hello, my eyes. But I couldn't figure out how to. I had to keep my face in a certain spot. So you should do. Oh my gosh, you should do something where it tracks your face, and then you can stick them right onto your face. It'd be awesome.
I could just be the panther. I need the magic stars around me. You know,
Yes,
these
more
things.
magic stars, please.
They're down there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, Salma. I think really cool stuff all around. So before we get into Q&A, I wanted to ask you, is there any like pieces of advice that you would like to share with everyone right now in regards to kind of inclusivity in tech? You know, the one nugget of knowledge, I like to call it.
You know how when people say when you walk down a street, oh, look up, you don't know what you might miss.
Yeah.
I guess that is the advice. Just look around you, and just Steve's lurking in my chat. That's what this is. People are in my chat.
Oh, come on, Steve.
Look around you and look for those people who might be hiding away, who might not have the confidence to speak up, who might feel excluded and you don't even know. Ask people if they're okay with things.
Yeah.
You know, look around you when you're next in a meeting at work and you're a guy and there's one woman in there and there are 10 guys, and look around you and look at how that dynamic is. Look at how the kind of the things that people say in general conversation that automatically like victimize the LGBTQIA community or ethnic minorities. Think about the words that you say that come out of your mouth. I mean, that's the first thing you can do. Just think about the things that you say and the things that you write online. But just look around you, open your mind, open your eyes, open your life, and open your heart, and just be cool.
Just be, oh, man, that's going to be the slogan of the stream. Just be cool. Oh, I feel it. Well, Salma, thank you so much for taking the time and your openness today for inclusivity in tech. I think, again, this is a super important topip for everyone, in tech or not in tech.
I'm not doing this now, by the way. No, it's everybody else.
I love it. People, keep going. Go to go to Salma's chat right now. Just add some emotes. It's a good time to just see that. While I was telling Salma earlier how I'm so boring in my room. No, you're good. You're good. But yes, thank you again for being here.